Before he became one of the most feared and powerful drug lords in history, Joaquín Archibaldo Guzmán Loera, better known as El Chapo, was just a poor boy from a small village in the rugged mountains of Sinaloa, Mexico. Born on April 4th, 1957, in the town of La Tuna, El Chapo grew up in poverty. His father was a subsistence farmer and, by some accounts, also involved in the local drug trade. As a child, Guzman dropped out of school in the 3rd grade and began selling oranges to help feed his family. Desperate for a better life, young Guzman found his way into the drug world. He started out working for established traffickers, doing small tasks like guarding shipments and moving product through the Sierra Madre. His big break came in the 1980s when he joined the ranks of Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo. The leader of the powerful Guadalajara cartel El Chapo quickly gained a reputation for his ruthless efficiency and creative smuggling techniques. When the Guadalajara cartel broke apart, he seized the opportunity to form his own empire, the Sinaloa Cartel. Over time, he became known for building massive drug tunnels under the U.S.-Mexico border and for coordinating multi-ton cocaine and meth shipments into the United States. As his cartel grew, so did his legend. He amassed billions, corrupted officials at every level, and orchestrated brutal violence to maintain control. By the early 2000s, El Chapo had become a ghost, feared by his enemies, protected by his people, and nearly impossible to catch. Dubbed the most powerful drug trafficker in the world by the DEA, El Chapo became not just a criminal kingpin, but a symbol of untouchable power. In 1993, Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán's reign faced its first major interruption. After narrowly surviving an assassination attempt by rival cartel members in a Guadalajara airport, an attack that left a Catholic archbishop dead, El Chapo became Mexico's most hunted man. Fleeing across borders, he was eventually captured in Guatemala and extradited to Mexico. Authorities saw it as a major victory, but they had no idea it would only be the beginning of a much darker saga. El Chapo was sent to Puente Grande, a maximum security prison in Jalisco, Mexico. But maximum security meant little to a man with endless money, connections, and influence. Inside, he lived like royalty. He paid off guards, enjoyed private meetings with women, ordered meals from outside, and even held parties. Inmates and prison staff began referring to him mockingly as El Patron. He was in prison, but he was far from powerless. For 8 years, El Chapo quietly built a network of loyal insiders within the prison walls. Then, in January 2001, he made his legendary escape. With the help of over 70 people, guards, janitors, and even top officials, El Chapo slipped into a laundry cart and was wheeled out of the prison, hidden beneath sheets and dirty clothes. The ease of his escape shocked the world. It exposed deep corruption in Mexico's justice system and showed just how far his reach extended. Rumors swirled that he bribed his way out with over $2.5 million in payouts. Despite a massive manhunt, he vanished into thin air. Authorities were humiliated, and El Chapo's myth only grew. He had done what seemed impossible, and he wasn't finished yet. After his stunning escape from Puente Grande in 2001, El Chapo disappeared into the mountains of Sinaloa. For more than a decade, he lived as a fugitive, constantly on the move, protected by locals and heavily armed guards. Despite international pressure and a massive manhunt by both Mexican and U.S. authorities, El Chapo always seemed one step ahead. His hideouts were remote, often surrounded by thick forests and guarded with military-level security. While in hiding, El Chapo wasn't lying low. He was building an empire. The Sinaloa Cartel expanded aggressively, becoming one of the most powerful criminal organizations in the world. It controlled vast smuggling routes across Mexico, the United States, and even Europe. Cocaine, heroin, marijuana, and methamphetamines flowed like rivers under his watch, generating billions of dollars. With money came power, and with power came violence. As rival cartels fought for territory, Mexico descended into chaos. Cities like Ciudad Juarez became war zones, with shootouts, beheadings, and mass graves becoming chillingly common. El Chapo, though rarely seen, was often blamed for the bloodshed. He became a symbol of the drug war's brutality and the government's inability to control it. Despite his ruthless methods, Many in Mexico saw him as a Robin Hood figure. In poor communities, he funded schools, clinics, and food programs. Some admired him for outsmarting the government and becoming a legend. Songs were written about him. His face appeared on t-shirts and in narco ballads. He wasn't just a criminal, he was folklore. The myth of El Chapo only grew. He was invisible, untouchable, and seemingly invincible. But as the violence escalated and international pressure mounted, the world began to wonder, could he really stay hidden forever? After over a decade on the run, El Chapo's freedom came to an end in February 2014. Mexican Marines, backed by U.S. intelligence, captured him at a beachfront condo in Mazatlan, Sinaloa. The arrest was hailed as a major triumph for both nations. He was quickly taken to Altiplano, Mexico's most secure prison, built specifically to prevent the kind of escape he'd pulled off before. This time, the Mexican government swore there would be no mistakes. El Chapo was watched constantly, held in solitary confinement, and monitored by cameras 24/7. But even maximum security couldn't match the ingenuity and the resources of the Sinaloa Cartel. In the summer of 2015, just 17 months after his arrest, El Chapo vanished once again. The method? A sophisticated mile-long tunnel dug with military precision. Starting from a small house outside the prison walls, the tunnel extended directly beneath his cell. It was equipped with lighting, ventilation, and even a modified motorcycle mounted on rails for quick travel. Surveillance footage captured the moment. El Chapo walking to the shower area, his only blind spot from the camera, and then disappearing. By the time guards realized what had happened, he was long gone, speeding through the tunnel to freedom. The escape humiliated the Mexican government and stunned the world. How could the most notorious drug lord in history vanish again from the most secure prison in the country? Theories of corruption, negligence, or both flooded the media. Global headlines erupted. Once again, El Chapo had done the impossible, but his freedom wouldn't last forever. His enemies were watching, and this time, the world would not be so forgiving. El Chapo's second escape triggered a global manhunt unlike any before. The Mexican government, under intense pressure, partnered closely with U.S. intelligence agencies to track him down. After months of surveillance and wiretaps, authorities finally located him in Los Mochis, Sinaloa. On January 8, 2016, Mexican Marines stormed the hideout. A violent shootout erupted, but El Chapo was finally captured, alive, once again. He reportedly tried to bribe the authorities with millions to let him go, but this time, it didn't work. The government, embarrassed by his escape and eager to prove itself, refused to take any more chances. In January 2017, El Chapo was extradited to the United States. The timing was no accident. It happened just one day before Donald Trump's inauguration. He was flown to New York and held under the strictest conditions imaginable. No phone calls, no visitors, and 23 hours a day in solitary confinement. In 2019, after a highly publicized trial that revealed the inner workings of the Sinaloa Cartel, including tales of murder, drug smuggling, and luxury living, El Chapo was found guilty on all counts. The jury took just 6 days to reach a verdict. He was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years and ordered to forfeit over $12 billion. Today, El Chapo is locked away in ADX Florence, the Alcatraz of the Rockies, a prison so secure that no one has ever escaped. His cell is sealed in concrete, his movements tracked to the second, his legend trapped behind steel and silence. Still, his story echoes across the world. A poor boy who became the most feared drug lord alive, a criminal mastermind who escaped prison twice. Love him or loathe him, El Chapo remains the undisputed king of escape.